Right, so this morning we talked policy and governance. The first session this afternoon was in technology. The final four presentations we have today are on use cases. So our first presentation this session is from Lisa Bush. She's online. And she's going to present on the pioneering geospatial leadership, the Digital Atlas of Australia. Lisa, we can see your slides, so ready when you are, please.
Excellent, no worries. Can you hear me as well?
Yes,
Yep.
we can.
Excellent, no worries. First, my name is Lisa Bush from Geoscience Australia, and firstly, I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunity to come and have a chat today, and also apologies for not being able to be there in person. We just had some scheduling issues, which I couldn't work out enough to get down there in person, but thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to have a chat. As mentioned today, I'll talk about the Digital Atlas of Australia, which is our first national example of integrated geospatial infrastructure. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the technology and the standards and policy and governance around what makes this thing work. But before we begin, I will attempt to play a short video. It's about 1.5 minutes. Ideally, sound's going to come through as well. If it doesn't, there is closed captions and we'll just run with it as is. So stand by and hopefully we can make this work.
Voice comes from a different source, obviously the video. Sound.
Having a few technical issues here, sorry, my bad. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what that means in real term. So powering the Digital Atlas of Australia is Integrated Geospatial Infrastructure, or IGI. And it's a digital ecosystem that allows data and services to be shared and integrated seamlessly across borders, systems, technologies, and platforms. And it's honestly transforming how we connect, manage, and use data. Of particular, I guess, worth highlighting is it's facilitating cross-border data and service sharing, enabling interjurisdictional or multifaceted outcomes in a way that we haven't had the ability to do before. Stakeholders can overcome geographic boundaries and collaborate effectively to deliver sustainable and efficient outcomes. And Digital Atlas of Australia is integrated geospatial infrastructure. It's really the connective tissue that is allowing us to be able to connect, share, and integrate a whole range of different data sets. There is no giant bucket of data. It's about connecting and sharing and moving from those clearinghouses and catalogs all the way across to a digital ecosystem. But it's more than just the data and the technology. And when we were building this integrated geospatial infrastructure and started the process a couple of years ago, we noted that it needed to be the platform, and it was more than just the tech stack. It also included the data and making sure that we applied fair or ideally Q-fair properties It's the policy and making sure that we had collaborative governance. In this instance, really focusing on federal level governance in the first instance to make sure that we can optimize data sharing across federal government agencies. And then looking to build that out to make sure that it's able to facilitate intergovernmental data sharing and also being able to provide data product and services to a whole range of users, whether they're intergovernmental users, industry users, or just people in the community wanting to have access to better geospatially enabled data sets and services. Partnerships have been critically important for us. So collaboration, engagement, making sure that we can identify multi-beneficial outcomes, and the ability to have meaningful cross-jurisdictional relationships and benefits has been a real game changer as well. And of course, there's the people aspects. So having the skills or building the skills, having a workforce and identifying what that workforce is likely to look like in the future and working out how to pull people through. And then capacity building within our existing team, within our stakeholders, and also with our users and potential users as well. Digital Atlas itself has two information domains. It has Digital Atlas Australia for Government, which you can see on the left-hand side, and we have Digital Atlas Australia for. So Digital Atlas for Government is for authenticated access for government users, and we started out with just 30 named users across federal government, and now we have over 800 registered users from federal, state, and territory government using Digital Atlas Australia environment. The public-facing interface, which you can see on the right hand, and if you just Google Digital Atlas, then it'll pop up, and it's available for everyone anywhere. So we went live on that in May of this year, and we now have over 60,000 unique users for Digital Atlas, which is pretty amazing, really. We're in very early days. This is a graphic here just trying to illustrate what that digital ecosystem looks like, and this is our data providers at the moment into Digital Atlas, just to give you an idea about how we're connecting, or some of those connections that we have to enable the data product and services to the Digital Atlas. And as I said, no giant bucket of data. It's about being able to connect and share, ideally web services from whoever the custodian of the data is, which means as soon as their data is updated, then it seamlessly flows all the way through and you get access to the most up-to-date data from the data custodian. This slide is all about our approach to collaborative governance and the partnership purposes. So there's a piece here about data sharing. Quite a lot of our partners are really trying to extract greater value from their data. So being able to increase the findability in particular of their data. And in some instances, it's about they've got users that they can't necessarily reach with their data because it hasn't been in the right format, or it hasn't been very accessible, or you can't seamlessly fuse it with a whole range of other data. Sometimes it's about just increasing the findability and access of the data so that it can be used in ways that we can't even imagine. But a lot of our partners are about trying to extract greater value from our data, but there also is an increasing number of partners looking to be able to pull down nationally trusted geospatial data as well, to be able to improve their own decision-making or their own work. Another reason that we've got a number of partners, particularly in the government environment, is access to technology and system access. For our government authenticated users, there's an incredible amount of geospatial functionality and analytical products available to those in Digital Atlas for government in particular. There is for public, but it's exceptional for our government users. And so for a lot of users, particularly across federal government, who don't have their own geospatial capability, or they don't have the ability to get a business case and get that supported to get their own licensing, whatever that may be, and build out a geospatial capability, we're able to give them the technology and system access so that they can concentrate on excelling at whatever their core business is, to create or uplift their data and not worry about, oh, gee, I need to spend all my effort in building or accessing a geospatial capability. We can do that for them. We've got capacity and capability development, so partnerships to involve sharing resources for common goals, like exchanging data, product and services, including sharing knowledge to help partners prepare data for integration to the Atlas or build user-friendly applications. And I've got a couple of examples of those at the back end of this presentation. And there's also, we also in our partnerships, there's an advisor and governance component. So using expert advice and establishing structures to create policies and standards that improve geospatial information management for the digital atlas, thereby underpinning the outcomes that we're trying to achieve. This slide, I really wanted to talk to you about powering our collaboration across government and some of the elements of co-designing governance frameworks. So the frameworks have been developed in collaboration with creators and suppliers of geospatial data. And across the Australian government, we know that everyone does things differently. And each agency has their own policy and processes that they need to meet. And in fact, in some agencies, they don't have anything when it comes to geospatial perspective. But the collaborative framework is here to ensure that quality and standards, to support the data custodians to manage their content through the data and products lifecycle, and also maintain clear roles and responsibilities. And in doing so, provide transparency and accountability for all of our partners. So the framework incorporates the key principles for the ONDC, the Foundation for, so that's the Office of the National Data Commissioner, which provide essential guidelines for data governance and management, which we must comply with as a federal government agency. It aligns with the QFAIR principles, which you all know far better than myself, to ensure high quality and trusted data management practices. And it's guided by the Intergovernmental Agreement on Data Sharing between Commonwealth and state and territory governments. The framework is guided by five principles, and that's to be trusted, accountable, purposeful, streamlined, and valuable. And I guess one of the key parts of the framework is defining the roles and responsibilities for everyone involved in creating, managing, and maintaining data and products in the digital atlas. And that maintenance piece is actually critically important for us as we continue to add data sets into the digital atlas. I'm going to move through a little bit quicker. I'm noticing I only got 8 minutes left. I originally thought I had 30 minutes and I've just recently realized I've got 20. So I've got a bit more content than we can actually deal with today. So I'll punch through these next ones pretty quickly. The key point here is we have commercial off-the-shelf software. So what we're not doing is building a bespoke product, which we, Geoscience Australia, delivering on behalf of federal government, don't have the means to be able to continue to maintain and upgrade. So we're leveraging off I guess the technological advancements of big business and big geospatial software companies, and it has its pros and cons, absolutely. But through the analysis, we've been able to recognise that in this instance, commercial off-the-shelf software, in this instance, it's every stack. So AGOL software as a service for Digital Arts Australia for public, and Esri Enterprise instance for Digital Arts Australia for government is the most efficient and effective tech stack for us delivering on behalf of federal government. So some of the key points of Digital Atlas Australia for government is it's a real powerhouse for the Digital Atlas with a number of capabilities in there, and it's reducing barriers for access for a whole range of government users who just have previously been able to access it. Have you guys still got a presentation? That's weird. Sorry, I just had a screen of death there. I'm not sure what you've had on your end, but it's all come back online, which is good news for me. So a couple of key points there is near real-time collaboration. And in fact, actually, it's pretty close to real time. You can have people from multiple areas of the same agency, multiple agencies, whoever's got a digital atlas for Australian authentication is able to work on a project at the same time. So it's rather than having to have someone create a product, put it into some sort of format, email it to someone else, get through firewalls, do some more work, send it back. You all know how this goes. You can actually work on the same product at the same time, and you can limit that working group or that workbench to whatever size. So if you want 2 people, if you want 200 people, and you can lock it down depending on the sensitivities of the work that you're on, and that has been a real game changer as well. A whole range of modern geospatial tools, and some of them are listed out on the right-hand side. So some really strong mapping tools, imagery and remote sensing. We're able to do field operations and spatial analytics and data science. If we move right along, We've done quite a lot of work on being able to identify and map to realising of benefits for all Australians. And if you have seen the recent Geospatial Council of Australia economic impact of geospatial, you'll see a whole section on the Digital Atlas of Australia. So I'm not going to dwell on that significantly. This example here is just national roads data. So it's giving you an example of national roads data in the Digital Atlas Australia, and it is the first free and comprehensive data set uplifted for the project. So purchased from Geoscape Australia on a CC BY license, so available for everyone to use how they want. And it just, you can download it or you can access it. And in this instance, we're just looking at some of the roads around some iron ore deposits, which is also major mineral deposits, which is also a data set sitting in the Digital Atlas Australia. And in this instance, it's just showing some of the data that's there and how it makes it much more accessible than having to go to multiple different multiple different websites, downloading the data, you have to have your own geospatial interface. You can actually now just come to Digital Atlas and look at those multiple data sets. This example here is bushfire highlights. So the Digital Atlas also provides the ability to collate disparate data sources into one view. And in this example, we're showing the National Bushfire Intelligence capability. And it's the first national standardized view of near real-time and historic bushfire boundaries. So the data is created by connecting with state and territory systems to put their data into the Digital Atlas through an automated process. And they do this every 15 minutes. The bushfire datasets is funded by the Australian Climate Service and is a result of collaboration effort between Geoscience Australia, CSIRO, and partners from government, industry, and academia. And it's a really trying to demonstrate the create once, use many approach means that agencies no longer have to gather this information for themselves. And we can just see here we've got the looking at the slider piece for historical bushfire data. So we're able to go back to 1899 for all the states and territory data that's available. There is a couple of gaps, most notably Northern Territory in particular, but anything that is available at a national, state and territory level is part of this work in the Digital Atlas. The next short example I've got for you here is the ability to build out a whole range of dashboarding. This is an example from Questacon, which sits under the same parent department of us, so the Department of Industry, Science and Resources. And this is just an application that they've built to be able to answer some questions that they have all the time. So in this instance, they've built an interactive dashboard to be in the secure government environment to support Questacon staff in analysing program delivery and identifying priority areas. And it visualises the location of Australian schools that have or have not visited Questacon. And the other dynamic elements in the dashboard show information from enrolment numbers, student diversity, and school types. And it's just an example that if you have questions that you're reporting on every week, every month, whatever it is, that instead of having to pull that data, you can just really easily build out dashboards to automatically answer those questions for you. And the last example I have, and I believe some of you will have seen some work from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. This here, which hopefully it runs, is a collaboration with the Australian Bureau of Statistics and the Social Services. I'm trying to get it run. For some reason it's not running. Hold on. And really what we're showing here is an application that's available to anyone right now in the Digital Atlas for public to access and use public-facing information. So we've worked with the Department of Social Services and the ABS to be able to uplift data that was available in data.gov in a whole range of tables that were A, very hard to find, and B, very hard to understand what it meant in real terms. And most of us know that the location in both time and space, and then being able to visualize it, is sometimes the most important thing in being able to make informed data-driven decision making. So this application integrates income support payments from the Department of Social Services and other demographics and socioeconomic data from the ABS in a dashboard that you can all access and have a play around with. And it's really improving not only the findability, but the accessibility of a whole range of data about Australians for Australians. So I was given 20 minutes, and I believe that is my 20 minutes on the dot. So there's just a couple of QR codes there. So you can use it to get to Digital Atlas, or you can just Google it. And if anyone is interested about access for government, if you're a Australian government user, whether that's at the states and territories or federal level, then just reach out to me anyway, and we'll sort you out. I will stop sharing there, and thank you very much for the opportunity to have a chat today.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed. The thing that really struck me about it was your federated approach to data, so that you don't actually build up a big, massive portal that you have to maintain. So I think that's a real plus. And just the last few examples you showed there are really quite a wide range of data requirements. So yeah, no, I was quite impressed. Does anybody have any questions here in the room or indeed online? No, I'm not seeing any hands at the moment.
Just a quick question.
Yep.
Is it possible to download data from the portal? When you prepare several data sets and download? Is that some idea?
Did you pick that question up, Lisa?
No, sorry, I couldn't hear it. Sorry.
The question was, is it possible to download data from the platform?
Yes, it is, although I will caveat that we've only recently started putting raster data in, and we can't download our raster data at the moment because it'll blow the system. So we just have to work out how to cache that appropriately and to put some we're optimizing that with Esri in partnership right now so that you can download components but not a whole data set. So if it's a raster data set of Australia, you won't be able to most likely download that unless we've optimized it. Otherwise, it will not only blow the system, but it will blow my budget as well. But the short story is that we've got over 200 vector data sets sitting in there with a whole heap of nested data underneath that, and you can download all of those, and we're working on the raster piece. And I will also note that the elevation data that's sitting on there, if you wanted to download it, you would go to the Elvis platform. We can download whatever elevation data across the nation that you want to. That would be how you do the elevation data at the moment.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Any other questions? Yep.
Hi, Lisa. Zafar here. Great presentation. Thank you. Hope you can hear me.
Can you hear Safar? Lisa? No.
Sorry.
I'll try. Yeah.
The question is for Lisa is that how do we measure the success of digital atlas? Like, what are the sort of KPIs that you're looking forward? Obviously, there is a statistics and utilization, but what success means in measuring this investment, reaching out, and is there a framework or KPI that can develop for this investment?
Okay, I'll try. Okay, Lisa, what Savar was wanting to know is, do you have any KPIs for the system, sort of statistics that you're using to measure the performance of the system? The utilization of the system.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a cool thing about I guess using the latest tech is we're able to leverage the latest analytics that go with that. So we have really for Digital Atlas Australia for government, we can data mine that any way that we choose. So what user from what agency is using what data in what way? Are they downloading it? Are they using it in applications? Are they clipping and shipping it? Are they creating maps? So we're able to give really good feedback to the stakeholders from a Digital Atlas Australia government. So it's back to the custodian, sorry. From a Digital Atlas Australia public perspective, we're able to use what domain that they're dialing in from to be able to have an idea about, are they industry users? Are they government users? Have we got any sort of analysis on that? So we can use some Power BI analytics on that. But I guess it's not so much where the stakeholders are coming from, it's how the data is being used that is really interesting for us. So we're not looking at how many people are landing on the Digital Atlas Australia page. We're looking at how many people are going to all the different data types, who's downloading it, who's incorporating it into different applications, how many people are coming back, how long are they spending on each side, how are they interacting with each of the data sets. And then we provide that feedback to the data custodian. So let's say the Australian Bureau of Statistics has almost 60 web services made available to the Digital Atlas Australia. We can tell them which ones are the most used and what components of that are the most used and how. And those that are not being used, then ABS can work out, do we maintain those or do we invest our limited resources in another area? And if that's the case, we will retire data sets that aren't being used.
Yeah, okay. You've got a nod from so far, so I think you did well there, Lisa. Thank you.
Right,
yeah,
thank
no,
you.
that's a really comprehensive answer. Anyone else? Okay, right.